Basketball is one of the most popular sports in the world, and that's no different in Ukraine. In 2014, the country participated in its first FIBA World Cup. Now a new generation of players looks to expand on that success. Basketball is more than a hobby. Basketball is part of my life. A ball and a hoop is all I need to escape from everyday problems. It's what makes my life colorful. Basketball is a very dynamic game where you have to think fast. That's why it's so popular. Basketball was invented a long time ago, in the 19th century. James Naismith created the game. He came up with it as a game for his students who would do anything but learn in their free time, to distract the students from harmful influences in the streets. Naismith hung a peach basket from the balcony of the YMCA, gave the students a ball and let them play the game. The game turned out to be very exciting, and Naismith wrote down the rules of the game, which remain the primary rules to this day. Basketball first appeared in Ukraine quite a long time ago. Early last century, basketball was introduced in Western Ukraine as a European game. The first clubs were in Tsarist Russia. After the revolution, sports clubs and organizations were founded, such as Dynamo, Spartak, and Zenit, which became the basis for future basketball clubs in Ukraine. Basketball is so popular because it's a very dynamic game and there's a lot of room for self-improvement. You can play for years, but you'll still have room for improvement. Besides, basketball is very convenient because it can be played anywhere. You can put up a hoop on the street or anywhere. I really liked the sport and I had everything it took to be a good player. During one practice, a coach came up to me and said I had been chosen to play in Kiev. Usually coaches help boys and girls go professional if they have the ability to do it. I've heard a lot of stories about how scouts come to schools looking for tall girls and invite them to practice. My story is different. My mother was a professional basketball player before, and when I was 8 or 9 years old, I was bored at home, so she took me to play basketball. Today, the development of basketball is happening with players getting bigger and faster. Usually players are selected in high school or university. Players who are more physically gifted, taller, more flexible, and in the best shape. Basketball practice is primarily based on the simple principle, from the simple to the complex. It all starts with basic things like passing, driving to the basket, shooting the ball, playing defense, etc. Today, any sport can be a tool to keep the nation healthy. It's not just a physical exercise, but also a psychological and moral one. Only a healthy, balanced person will be able to perceive and respond to a given situation. The hardest part for me was to get used to the rules and techniques of basketball. We have 5 practices a week, and on weekends we play with other teams. You can physically cope with this kind of load if you recharge properly, if you eat and sleep well. In practice, I like to have a variety, and there's a lot of that. You can always try something new. For example, if you're a small forward, you have so many opportunities to surprise your opponent. I think girls have a much easier time in basketball than boys. It's much more difficult for boys to get on a professional team. There are significantly fewer women basketball players in Ukraine and even in the WNBA. Our team members are very friendly. Almost all of my friends are basketball players. It's like a small family. In winter, we practice in the gym, and in summer, we have 2 weeks rest. Everyone has a court in their city where they practice and play, so as not to lose your edge. Today, basketball is developing quickly in many Ukrainian cities. For example, Dnipro, Odessa, Kharkiv, and Donetsk, which is unfortunately under occupation. There are several sports schools in Dnipro and Kharkiv. The student team in Kharkiv is successful in the Ukrainian League, and this year they made it as a Super League team. There are also a lot of sports schools in Kiev where students of various ages train. I believe basketball is still developing in Ukraine. A lot of effort and money needs to be invested in Ukrainian basketball to reach the level of Europe. There are a lot of basketball clubs in various cities. Budyvelnyk in Kiev, Dnipro in Dnipro, Hoverla in Lviv, Kharkiv in Kharkiv, and Pivdeny in Odessa. I think the strongest are Budyvelnyk, Dnipro, and Khimik. We see European teams in the Baltic leagues. They play at a very high level, and it's something to aspire to. We've played in Poland, their team is very good, and it has a lot of players from America. They're very fast, their shot technique is very good, as well as their court awareness. Various basketball activities begin in primary school, in sports schools and in clubs that bring parents and children together, where various events are held, like city leagues, regional leagues, or the Ukrainian League. And then they graduate to university teams that also have their own systems for practice and competition. Professional basketball in Ukraine is represented by the Ukrainian Super League, where professional clubs are financed independently. It's considered to be the top of the basketball pyramid, the highest achievement and a talent source for the Ukrainian national teams. The most interesting part of every competition is the game itself, when you're playing and when you win the game. I've been in a lot of leagues, and the atmosphere is very friendly. There are always a lot of teams from various Ukrainian cities. I meet people I haven't seen in half a year. We often stay in the same hotel. That brings us together. Competitions happen quite often, and we go to different Ukrainian cities. Odessa. We used to also go to Donetsk. We mostly talk about sports and discuss mutual friends and the coaches of other teams. Basketball is at a crossroads of how to develop, and how to make this incredibly popular sport even more popular. Despite all the difficulties that exist in Ukraine, basketball is gradually developing and has the potential to become one of our most successful sports.